3 of the best men's Dior fragrances, but first we're going to start off with an honourable mention because this one hasn't made the list, but I personally think it's a great fragrance. Sauvage EDP. Now, I know Sauvage can be divisive, and sure, me mentioning this may make you click off this video, but I hope not. But Sauvage EDP, in my opinion, is still a really good fragrance. Yes, it's one of the most sold fragrances in history, but you really need to look at your friend group, your family, people you hang out with, people at work, and if they are all wearing Sauvage, or a large number of them wear Dior Sauvage, then maybe look for something else. But in my personal experience, my friends don't particularly wear fragrances, and I don't think any of them wear Sauvage. So I still wear this, and when I do, I'm the only person in my group that wears it. So Sauvage EDP is, for me, is the best iteration of Sauvage, apart from, of course, Elixir, but that's a different fragrance entirely. Between the EDT, the EDP, and the PARFUM, this for me is the best version. It's still so bright and invigorating, refreshing. You get the strength from the ambroxan, citrus ambroxan, but then you also get some sweet vanilla in the dry down with some lovely wood. So it's still a smooth, fresh, long-lasting fragrance that, of course, is a compliment-getting fragrance, and it's one that you could just wear to any situation and you do not have to worry what you're doing. Spray this and you're good to go. So number 3, onto the actual list then. This one is a fragrance I've really fallen in love with recently, and that's Dior Eau Sauvage Parfum. Not Sauvage, Eau Sauvage, the old school classic men's fragrance. This is the Parfum concentration. This is fantastic. Now, the reason why I fell in love with this is because I took it on a trip to Krakow 2 weeks ago, and I wore it all weekend. I was there for 3 days. I wore it every day, and it's absolutely brilliant, especially in that weather. You know, that transitional weather when you go from summer to autumn. It's like 16, 17 degrees. It's a bit windy. There's a bit of a chill when it gets into the evening. This is perfect because it's fresh, but also it has this sort of spicy, balsamic strength that really does help cut through that cold air. But when the sun hits you, it's still fresh and vibrant enough, and it's absolutely perfect. This is one of the classiest fragrances I've got in my collection. The only downside is it does smell quite old school. So if you're young, if you're watching this and you're 18, 19, 20, please try it first. You might think it's a bit too old school for you, but I'm 30 now. I rock this and I absolutely love it. Long lasting, classy, and quite unique because not many other people are going to be wearing this. It's not a massively popular fragrance at the moment. So Dior Eau Sauvage Parfum, brilliant fragrance from Dior. Number 2, you cannot have a best Dior fragrance list without including this. Probably one of the most talked about fragrances from Dior recently. That is Dior Homme Parfum. This one is like Eau Sauvage, very classy, but classy in a very different way. They have no similarities whatsoever. This is a very formal fragrance, not to be worn casually, but Dior Eau Sauvage Parfum can be worn to any situation. This for me is more of a formal fragrance, nighttime only, just something when you want to add that extra touch of confidence. So when you're wearing something that makes you feel so confident, like a sharp suit, your best clothes, you know, when you're just dressing up and you're putting your nice shiny shoes on, you've got brand new socks and you feel so confident, you wear this, it just gives you that extra touch of confidence, and it's fantastic. This is very bright in the opening, surprisingly, because it's not a bright fragrance. It's very juicy in the opening. You have this beautiful mandarin orange, then comes the formal iris, and then you go into the darker, the sexier, the mysterious notes, if you can call it that. You get leather, you get oud, you get some dark woods, and it's fantastic. 3 or 4 sprays. This should last you all day or all night whenever you're wearing it, and it will fill the room. It's one of those fragrances you will spray on, you'll come back into your room 5 minutes later and it will just be in the air around you. It's brilliant, although it can be hard to find. I normally buy mine from either the airport or from Dior's own website. And lastly, my favorite Dior fragrance. By the way, this is the designer version. We're not looking at the Christian Dior private line, such as Fève Délicieuse and Ombre Noire. That's for a different video. This is the designer line, and my favorite is Fahrenheit Le Parfum. I have talked about this quite a lot before, but this one just doesn't get enough love. I don't understand why other reviewers are not talking about this as much, because I think it's the best Dior fragrance. Maybe not the best quality. I mean, we have so many good quality fragrances from Dior, as we've just looked at, but this one is just the most enjoyable to me. It's just amazing. It smells expensive. It smells like a niche fragrance to me. You have that Fahrenheit DNA in here. It's so deep and buried, you have to sort of search for it. You have to look for it, and it is there somewhere. You do have this old school Fahrenheit DNA in there, but it's modernized, it's thicker, it's sweeter, it's denser, it's boozier, it's fantastic. So you have a suede note in the opening with that famous orange, mandarin orange note that Dior has. You then have boozy rum, you have this beautiful rum note, you have bourbon vanilla, which adds this classiness and sweetness, but this is superb. On my skin it really works. Not every fragrance works on my skin, but this one really projects, so I can smell this around me pretty much all day whenever I'm wearing it, and people comment on this when I'm wearing it from like 7-8 feet away, so I know it projects off my skin. It just smells so expensive and it's a brilliant fragrance. So my number one choice from Dior in the designer fragrance market is Fahrenheit Le Parfum. Let me know, what's your favourite Dior fragrance?